It's been over 24 hours. Over 24 hours since one of the most emotionally devastating experiences I think I've ever had with video games. And I've had some pretty emotionally damaging moments with video games. I played the Walking Dead Telltale series, season 1. The ending of that absolutely crushed me. I played Gears of War, where Dom's death absolutely crushed me. I've had my fair share of heart-wrenching experiences with games, but what I had to go through, what a lot of you watching at home had to go through, hurt on an entirely different emotional level. And I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that I've become a dad, and I've been a dad for about a year and a half now. And I noticed about myself that I'm a little bit more emotionally in tune, or should I say sensitive. Things make me cry a lot more easier these days, and I think the particular scene that I'm going to refer to is when Noah is giving his last few words of advice to his son before he passes. That hit me like an avalanche. I wasn't at all prepared for that level of emotional storytelling. And you had seen my reaction. It crushed me, quite literally, and I don't think I will ever get over it. I think whenever anybody mentions chapter 5 through to the beginning of chapter 6 to me in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I think I'll probably cry a little inside and hurt a little inside, because I could feel it here. Dude, I could feel it here. You know that sharp pain you get when something emotionally damaging is happening? I got that. But that's not taking away from the game, and I hope it's not putting people off from playing it, because that particular moment, or those few moments, those were one of the greatest storytelling narratives I've ever got to experience. It's one of the best scripts I've ever seen and witnessed in a game. It's one of the best story beats. It's perfection. It literally is. And I think what makes that moment so good, what makes that particular chapter so good, is just the 4 chapters previous building up this emotional attachment that you have for the characters, their relationships, their chemistry. It's told throughout the game, and it's slow form storytelling as well. It rewards you a lot to explore, do quests, side quests, interact with NPCs, because all those little things, they add to the connection that these characters have to each other and your particular fondness of them. But as the story progresses, you get to know these characters a whole lot more, and the struggles and the things that they're going through, from carrying demons from the past and going through changes rapidly as they go on this adventure into the unknown to try figure out their true purpose and try put a stop to the evil powers that are running this world. And when you finally get to that moment, you're already 110 million% attached to these characters. And that's when Monolith Soft and its writers pulled the trigger. That's when they said, this is the moment we're going to crush every single Xenoblade Chronicles fan to the ground. We're going to rip their hearts out. We're going to stomp on it. And we're not going to stop stomping on it until the dust is settled. And it was genius. I know that sounds horrible, but I think I'm going to be one of those people now that will tune in and watch people's reactions to these moments just to see how they feel. I want to see them go through it. I want to see the pain and the suffering in their eyes. But at the same time, I want to see a beautiful story being unraveled by a new player. And see the reactions and the emotions that Monolith Soft and its writers wanted to release from people that are playing this game. It is crazy that Xenoblade Chronicles as a franchise is so underrated. It's criminally underrated, in my opinion. And I think it's probably the aesthetic of the game that not necessarily puts people off, but it makes people ignore it. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because the characters are very anime-esque and people think it's just another anime-style JRPG or a Genshin clone or whatever, that people just don't give it the time of day. Or maybe it's the Nintendo branding that doesn't appeal to a more mature audience. But do yourself a favor. I know my audience here is quite big, and I know a lot of you play loads of different platforms, and a lot of you play PlayStation, a lot of you play Xbox, and so many of you have said that I'm not watching your content currently because you're playing a game that I don't care about. Well, I have a message for you. If you want complex gameplay that's rewarding when you understand it and you learn it, if you want lovable characters with great chemistry and great storytelling, if you want a story that will quite literally crush your emotions and make you go through every single human emotion possible, and you also want to have a good time doing it, Xenoblade Chronicles is the game franchise for you. Even if you don't want to play the first one or the second one, give the third one a go. Because Monolith Soft, they've learned from their mistakes in the past with 2. Not saying that there's a lot, there's a few there that I didn't like. And they carried over anything that was good about the 2 games, and they brought it into 3 and they perfected it. Because I don't think I'm having as much fun as I've ever had before with a Xenoblade Chronicles game until Xenoblade Chronicles 3. It's like as soon as you get it, as soon as that switch clicks, the game becomes one of the most addicting games ever. Whether it's trying to figure out what's happening in the story next, whether it's fighting monsters and learning the combat and experimenting with chain attacks, or just listening to the buzzings in the cities, in the towns, in the world that you're in, and interacting with the NPCs to hear their story and how they fit into this world. All of that makes this game a masterpiece. And I never understood, because I know a friend of mine, VTech, had shown negative emotions towards the Game Awards back in 2022 when Xenoblade Chronicles 3 got shafted, got pushed to the side, and didn't really win anything. And I couldn't understand it. I was like, okay, look, Xenoblade Chronicles is good. I played the first one, I played the second one. I love those games, but I mean, compared to what else is on the table, I mean, I'm not too bothered by it. But you see, now I get it. See, now I'm pissed off like every other Xenoblade Chronicles fan. Because Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was quite literally robbed from any title from the Game Awards. Now, I'm not saying that the Game Awards should be anything to write home about or to care about, but I think recognition for this game is definitely deserved, and I feel like it didn't get enough of it. The music alone should give it Game of the Year, because the music is incredible. Going back through my VOD, from the previous chapters that I've done, 5 and the beginning of 6, listening to the music again and finding those subtle hints to what is going to be happening, a foreshadowing, if you will, when you first go against M and you listen to it again and you can hear the flute in the music. That flute in the music is telling you that Mio is who you're fighting. It's a foreshadowing or a hint to let you know, by the way, the music shifted. You can hear Mio's flute. What does that tell you? And of course, a first-time player is not going to pick up on that straight away. Maybe there's a few that will pick up on that. If you did, then congratulations. But I'm glad I didn't pick up on that straight away, because it added so much more to my reaction when I realized who it was and how it happened. And that first moment where Mio and M are face to face, and there's that kind of like pulse, and then it cuts to narrative. I didn't understand what happened there. I was like, what was the purpose of that? And then now I know. And when she's in the prison cell and she's talking to Noah, and Noah's upset, frustrated, and feeling this overwhelming despair because he can't get out of the prison cell to save Mio, they have a conversation that leads to Mio saying, "My Noah." And at first you think, okay, this is just her way of saying, I love you, Noah. Like, you're my Noah. I care about you. And that crushed Noah. Little that he knew, Mio was actually referring to her Noah. Her Noah. Her N. And that to me was just going back through it in my mind. Everything started to make sense. The whole thing started to make sense. And that's what you call genius storytelling. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. It's phenomenal. Like, truly phenomenal. And I will literally scream it from the rooftops for people to play this game, to experience these moments, because a lot of games these days, they don't focus on this kind of narrative, or they're too afraid to. And it's more about how ultra realistic the graphics are, or how cool the gameplay is. Of course, those things, well, more gameplay than realistic graphics are important, but storytelling, masterful storytelling, is something that I think I appreciate. Maybe it's just my age, my sort of demographic, but if you love storytelling, if you love fleshed out characters, great chemistry, this is the game for you. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, but I think for me personally, when Chapter 6 began and he started going through the different memories of the different lives that Noah had, that's when things start to really hit the fan for me personally. Because you realize what Noah has been doing and what he's been fighting for his entire time without even knowing it. But to see the life that he had, to ultimately get the same result in the end over and over and over again, is so painful to watch, to see. You can only imagine what kind of pain Noah went through, knowing that he had to go through this over and over again, to watch Mio go over and over and over again. But it's that moment where he had to hold his son in his arms, give him a hug, and say his last few pieces of advice before he faded away. That, for me as a dad, was just hard to watch, dude. Like, thinking about it now, it's hard, because you have this, until you become a dad or a parent, there's this unmatched feeling of protection that you want to wrap around your child. That you constantly want to be there for them. You don't ever want to see them on their own. You don't ever want to leave them from your sights. You want to make sure you're in control and you're protecting them at all costs, because they're innocent little souls and they deserve to be protected for as long as possible. And you see his little toddler of a boy crying as he watched his dad fade away. Fuck. Nah. It's too much. Fuck this game, bro. It's just a masterpiece. It just is. And it's so strange that I'm playing it, because there was so many moments where I felt like I was never going to. I felt like there was no need to. There's other games that people are more interested in. But then one day when I was sitting here, I started to kind of go through what was happening on social media at the time of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 release, and how people spoke so highly about this game, and how it's, you know, praised by so many, and some of my friends played it and loved it and adore it and say it's quite literally peak storytelling, peak fiction, and all of these things kind of came flooding into my head, and I just sat here and I'm like, I'm gonna play Xenoblade Chronicles 3 as my return to streaming. I said, you know what? It's about time I did it. I left Xenoblade Chronicles on the bench for too long. It was time I picked this up, and there is no going back from here. I'm invested 110% of the way, and I'm not sure how much is left in terms of my playthrough, but these next few playthroughs, I think I'm going to tone it down a bit on the story, focus on the world, the exploration, which one of the main things about Xenoblade Chronicles is the exploration and the rewarding for doing so. So I'm going to be doing a lot of that. Side quests, explore some more NPCs and what they're doing and what's going on in the world of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Because after those few hours of punches to the heart, it is only a matter of time where I just needed to say, okay, let's chill off the story for a bit. But then we are going to jump back into the story eventually, and we'll continue to see where this is going, how it's going to end, and jump straight into Future Redeemed. But Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is a fantastic game, and I can't really speak any more highly of it than I already do. I just think if you're watching this, you've never played the game, do yourself a favor and play it. It is very friendly for new players. Like I myself, I forget a lot of games. I've played Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 and Torna, but even at that, there was a lot of things I just forgot. But this game will teach you, and it'll teach you very well, and it'll give you all the tools that you need to understand it and to learn it. And just enjoy it. Enjoy the characters and the story along the way. It's one hell of an adventure. A really, really good one. Just prepare yourself, because if you're at all emotional, if you're at all sensitive, then you're in for a good one. Because this one is going to test those emotions. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to sit down and make this video just to kind of just get some stuff off me emotionally after that stream, you know? Of course, I've had some time to process it, but it is a lot to process, you know? But I think making a video like this just to kind of talk about it and just get a conversation going in the comment section as well, which I love, by the way. So thank you guys so much for all of the amazing comments and the insights into this game. But fire away, let me know how you felt. What was your story playing these few moments for the first time in Xenoblade Chronicles? I'd love to know. Did it impact you as strongly as it did me? More so? Less? I don't know. You let me know. Did you not feel a thing? In that case, you might need to speak to someone. But I think no matter what you're going through, this is something that will definitely touch the feelings somewhere. But yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. More VODs are on the way. So be on the lookout for that. Back streaming Xenoblade Chronicles 3 next week. So be on the lookout for that too. And I know a lot of you here on YouTube have been asking about, why don't you stream on YouTube? Why don't you stream on YouTube? I'll think about it. I'll look into it. We'll see what we can do. But I won't hold my breath on that. Not quite yet. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.